Welcome back to Monday's Midday. Joining us first this afternoon is Wallace with the Louisiana State Police. And as we all know, it is Mardi Gras season and another time to remind people of how to be safe. Right, Casey?
Yes, I appreciate you having us here today. Like I said, Mardi Gras is fastly approaching us. It'll be, coming up very soon. And what we really like to touch basic is with, we say it a lot, especially during our holiday seasons and different things, events that we have around the state, is about, we talk about drinking and driving a lot. Of course, we really want to emphasize that again because that is a part of the Louisiana culture, is to partake in alcoholic beverages during any kind of festivity. I don't even know if it has to be a festivity to consume, but just keep that in mind. But today we just want to really emphasize on some of the things that maybe we're just not maybe common with. So I looked up a lot of things for our areas and actually what are the laws when it started coming to, say, parade routes and things.
Okay.
So what I really want to emphasize is too, and I was looking up a lot of our Louisiana laws that are in the book, is that if you are going to partake in the parade routes, right, especially pretty much around all the state of Louisiana, we'll talk about New Orleans in a second, is that if you are participating or you are attending those parades, you assume all risk of getting hit.
Okay.
From beads and cups. They actually say in there about coconuts, because some of the parade routes in New Orleans throw coconuts, I know.
Okay.
I know. So
I wasn't expecting that,
yes,
but okay.
Yes, so it actually says things in there, but it doesn't limit to those things. It just says if you are going to be at that parade, you are assuming the liability and the risk. Now, granted, it does cover other things like if someone is intentionally trying to harm you,
right,
that's different. But if they're just throwing the regular things that they're supposed to be throwing in those parade routes, then yes, you are taking those risks on your own.
Okay.
So be mindful of that, because everybody gets hit in the face at some point with these things.
For me, every year for me.
Yes, so that's part of it. And also another thing is too, in the law books, it actually says that you are not allowed to throw anything at a float. So if you receive something that you didn't think that you should have been thrown and you throw it back, that's actually, when we start talking about New Orleans, that's a $250 fine.
Wow.
Yes, and it also talks about if you're on the parade route, you can't throw beads at the front or the back. It has to be side to side.
Okay.
It actually says a lot of that things in our city ordinances too. So Louisiana law covers a few things. You may want to educate yourself on that before you go to these parade routes to see where you may be liable. Okay. And then also too, if you're participating in it, you really need to maintain your ordinances. So, and I'll just, because New Orleans is usually our biggest one that we follow, and I kind of wanted to cover a few of their things that they have, and I saw a couple of them in there, I was like, really? So when we start talking about specifically when people start going down south, and like I'll say, I'll just give you a brief highlight of, say, New Orleans' core of ordinances. Yes, you have to have permits and different things. Parade routes run from usually 6 in the morning to midnight. Anything after that, there's different ordinances with that. But things that you can't do on a float. You can't smoke on a float.
Okay, did not know that.
Can't smoke on a float. Now, they don't really get into the drinking part of it, but I think that goes from ordinance to ordinance about your drinking on there. But there's never going to be an ordinance where they allow the driver of anything.
Right. But
they actually go into a lot of the ordinances. If you are maintaining a, say, electric float, like maybe something's moving on it, you have to be certain ages for all that things to be able to run those things.
Okay.
So in New Orleans specifically, you can't ride a carnival float unless you're at least 12 years of age.
Okay.
You can't ride in a truck float, which I'm guessing it's just a truck. That doesn't specifically say what that means. If you're in a truck float, you can be 3, but you have to have a built-in, like a harness for the child. So if you're in the back of that truck, it has to be a rail, at least at armpit levels, and you also have to be harnessed in like a seat belt bolted into the floor. They actually say in the ordinance it has to be bolted into the floor.
Okay.
So there's different things you need to look at if you're going to allow your child to participate in those different activities. It also says that you cannot have a reptile within 200 yards of a parade route.
This is Louisiana.
I'm going to say, I would say as much as that would be entertaining for an alligator or something, but I think they really mean for maybe snakes. Because I think snakes were a big thing maybe back in the day, but that's actually in the New Orleans ordinances about you can't have any reptiles within 200 yards of a parade route.
Wow.
Another thing that I like to cover too, and I covered it last year, if you are a registered sex offender, and it actually says it in the law, and this covers Mardi Gras, it covers any holiday, Halloween, anything that requires you to wear a mask, that if you are a sex offender, you cannot wear a mask. You have to be readily identifiable if you're participating in any kind of event in Louisiana.
Okay.
So consider this as Mardi Gras, and you can probably be wearing masks and different things. If you are a sex offender, you cannot conceal your identity.
Wow.
You have to be readily identifiable to the public during these parade routes. And I don't think a lot of people understand that part of it.
Right.
That applies to Mardi Gras, Halloween, I guess if you want to wear a mask for Easter or whatever you want to do.
Well, Casey, we're just about out of time, so real quick, can we go over just drinking and driving safety real fast here?
Especially start talking about the Mardi Gras season. Nothing's going to exempt you from drinking on these parade routes. There's nothing going to be exempt you for any of that. So you really need to have someone in your crew that's going to be responsible for that, right? So we see a lot of problems with that, people getting run over by floats and different things, because even a little bit of drinking, if it alters your judgment just a little bit, you don't even have to be over the legal limit. If it just alters your judgment this much, is it enough to where maybe you didn't catch something? So be very mindful of that. Be very mindful of what you're doing. Because like I said, don't let something like this, and I say it a lot, don't let fun turn into fatal for you.
Right.
Because this is a very, very fun time. We take our Mardi Gras seriously.
Oh, yes, we do.
So don't turn this into a memory of regret that you may have. So be very mindful of that as you participate. And like I said, y'all just stay safe out there.
All right, Casey, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll be back right after this break.